All right, welcome back to the channel, folks. It's been a minute. Figured I'd put out a quick video for you guys. In this short video, we're going to take you guys through the macro of the markets, where we're heading. Did Bitcoin bottom, or is this a bull trap? Make sure you guys stay tuned for the entire video, and we'll catch you guys on the chart. Here on the Bitcoin US dollar chart, and we can clearly see that Bitcoin has been holding above this $52,000 region, above the, I believe that's the 50-period moving average. Yeah. The 50-period simple moving average is acting as our support. We're above all moving averages here, and we can see on the weekly stochastic that we actually got a cross up here. And now we haven't crossed above the 20 line yet, just for a weekly buy signal. But if we go into our 3-day and our 2-day charts, we can see those are going to beat the weekly. So the 2-day and the 3-day have crossed and given us buy signals. So that is giving us inclination to believe that we actually have hit a bottom. Now, obviously, we want to see follow-through price action, and we want to see price actually continue to go up. But if we actually look at the structure from a technical point of view, to me, this looks like a descending broadening formation or a right angle descending broadening formation, and these break to the upside 72% of the time. So I'm going to go ahead and confidently say that this does look like the bottom, guys, and we are looking at a major movement coming here in the coming days, weeks. It could happen very, very rapidly right now. We are showing 2-day bullish divergence here on the MACD oscillator is what we've made a lower low on price here versus this low. And you can see we have a higher level of negative momentum being built up, which is implying a momentum shift or a bullish divergence. All right, so there's your Bitcoin. Bitcoin looking pretty healthy, pretty strong right here. We're going to get into some altcoins here for you guys. And we're going to cover some of the majors. We're going to cover ETH here. Ethereum also looking pretty healthy with this nice bounce here off the 100-period moving average, right at the range low. It looks a lot like Bitcoin did during this time period where Bitcoin was ranging between that 30 and 25K region before it went on its next leg. And a lot of the same things are showing on this chart, right? The 2-day giving us the buy signal. We have the bullish divergence here on the momentum wave trend here. The weekly time frame also getting that full reset. You know, this is looking pretty strong. We just crossed up. Again, we didn't confirm a weekly buy signal yet, but when we start to cross up like that, that is something you want to be paying attention to. We do have an ETH ETF underway. Another thing here I want to show you guys that's really cool is this indicator right here. It's called the relative volatility index. Now, I've marked off on this chart here, every single time we go in this deep red zone, this actually signals the bottoms of the market, right? So this, I mean, the bottoms of the market on volatility. Now, it may have gone down or drawn down a bit on price, but if you ended up buying at the at the low end of this volatility wick, really, look, you could see this actually was the crash. This was the crash down to 881. So yeah, that was the bottom. And right here, this was the bottom on the volatility index. This is also the bottom on the stochastic RSI on the weekly time frame. And this matches up with the low that was put in here in September. And we've done something similar here on the volatility index. Again, we've gone deep in the red zone here. Right here, we can clearly see. Now, again, this might have proceeded a little bit further. Actually, it was basically, yeah, it was the low, right? The low was down to $2,800. And we haven't been back down at that number since then. So I would say that this indicator is actually very, very viable for catching bottoms and tops. And if we look at the volatility index for these tops, well, let's take a look. So let's plot them real quick. We had a top here, and then we made our bearish divergence on the volatility index. That was probably our all-time high top. But we're going to look at the chart in a second. So we made our first top. We made our first top here. We made a higher high with a higher level of volatility. So no bearish divergence here, but we obviously a local top. All right. So let's get rid of the bottom ones so we can identify the ones that we're putting in the high volatilities, right? Okay, so currently, this volatility spike right here was a big push. Now, it wasn't, like I said before, we didn't make that wasn't the highest high we made, but it was a high that we did make, right? And then we made the higher high here, and that happened to be the top right here, the local top. Now, what we're going to do this next push up is we're going to get into that volatility index overbought again, but we're probably going to do something like this where we break out, where we make a lower high on volatility, and it ends up being a lower high on the volatility index. So it'll be a higher high on price, but a lower level of volatility, and that'll be a bearish divergence, and that'll probably be the next top, or if not the cycle top. So that's something that we're going to be watching out for. right? And back here, we can see we made this top back here. This was the previous cycle. So if we go back to look, the first top we made was obviously not the cycle top, but it was a local top. And then we had our continuation, and we made bearish divergence here. And this happened to be pretty close to the all-time high. This was 4,200. If you ended up exiting the market off this volatility indicator, you would have missed maybe another 30, 40% move in this market. Nothing really to worry about, really, right? So if you ended up selling on that bearish divergence volatility index on the weekly time frame, you would have not had to worry about, you know, trying to time this top here. Okay, so in my opinion, you know, this indicator is very, very useful and very, very helpful. You guys should add it to your chart. It's called the Relative Volatility Index. It is a free one on TradingView. Relative Volatility Index. The credit goes out to this gentleman right here, Everget. He's the gentleman that developed this indicator, and I've actually been using it a lot for not only just finding tops and bottoms in the crypto market, but I've also been having a lot of success with option trading. So something you guys definitely want to check out. All right, so that's Ethereum. We're going to take a look at some of these other cryptos here. There's definitely lots of meme coins that look good right now. There's lots of major layer 1 tokens that look good right now. I'm not going to have time to cover all of them, but what I am going to cover is some of the majors. So we're going to look at Avalanche here. AVAX looking pretty good. We did take an initial position on this asset, you know, in October. We did exit the position here around $50. That was alerted to you guys in the channel. We had a rising wedge that I saw in development here, and that played out down to the bottom of the rising wedge. We wicked right to the 100-period moving average, and now we're trying to make this reversal right here. Let's take a look at the volatility index. All right, volatility index deep in the red zone here, right on the weekly time frame. So yes, we're looking at potentially the bottom here on AVAX, and we can clearly see a trend line here that we're trying to breach right now, and the asset is up from this low. Beautiful. You can clearly see that we got what looks to be a falling wedge pattern, and that also is confluent with the volatility index. So your next leg up here, top of the falling wedge, is around $60. If we end up clearing $60, we're looking at maybe the all-time high targets, because this to me looks like a major cup with handle structure. Cup and your wedge pattern being the handle structure. And we could get up actually around to that midline around $80, but there's not really a lot of traded price action up here. So it really wouldn't shock me if we ended up just blowing through it if the whole market is super bullish. All right, so that's Avalanche. I also wanted to cover some of these other smaller coins that not a lot of people are talking about, and that would be Velodrome. I think Velodrome has a lot of potential. This is I think a strong project. All right. So again, low market cap coin. I think it's only a $72 million cap. This went on quite a run here out of the bear market bottom here in October. It went from 0.002 up to around 2.5x. This thing did a 10x from its bottom. That's really strong. When an asset, most of these assets did around a 5 to 6x on average off their bear market lows, and some of them didn't even do that. Like some of these majors, like KSM, like maybe did a 3-4x. If you're finding an asset that is outperforming the rest of the altcoin market, probably something to look out for here in the rest of this bull run, because they're probably going to continue doing similar things as this market gets more bullish. And clearly what we're doing here is back testing the 100-period weekly. And again, with the volatility index, we went all the way extended. That was our top. And then we just came all the way back down deep in the red zone here on the volatility index. This indicator, guys, is so helpful for understanding where you're at. Obviously confluent with a weekly stochastic cross up, obviously confluent with the rest of the market, right? Where we bounced right off, neutral territory on the weekly time frame. This is in a buy zone right now. Okay, not financial advice. Do your own homework, do your own research on these coins. But again, this to me looks very, very nice. You can clearly see a down sloping trend line here that is acting as resistance. But if I was to look at this more clearly, this also looks like a potential falling wedge pattern. And you get those after big drawdowns and coming back down to major moving averages on the smaller time frames. So Velodrome looking pretty good. Another asset that I actually picked up was AeroDromo. If you want exposure to Coinbase and you want exposure to the DEX on Coinbase, or I should say Base, not Coinbase, but yes, Base. So we took an entry here at 50 cents. This was alerted in the alerts chat. Okay, this is a falling channel or maybe even a falling wedge pattern, similarly that we're just looking at some of these other assets. And if we look at the weekly time frame, we don't have that much data because it's relatively new, but it bounced right off the 50 zone. That is extremely bullish. And you can see just ever so slightly, we were deep in the red zone here and we've come out. We've actually had quite a rally off this low. It's done about 100% move off the low already. That is super strong, super strong. All right, so we got Velodrome, we got AeroDromo. Your Bitcoin, Ethereum looking pretty strong, pretty healthy. You obviously have some assets. I think Pulse Chain is something you guys should really look into. I actually took a position on Pulse Chain myself. Going to cover that. I think there is a big narrative behind it, and also the chart looks really good too. Really, I'm not really about narrative plays, but obviously in this market, narratives are important. We can really see right here. This is right back down at the all-time low. Bouncing right off the low. I unfortunately don't have the relative volatility index on this chart, but we can clearly see something really interesting that's happening here. On the 3-day time scale, you can see you had the bearish divergence up here. This was your top. Now you have the bullish divergence down here. This is going to be acting as your bottom. All right, so very low risk area here for a long trade. Even if you don't end up holding this throughout the whole cycle and you just trade it to the trend line, that's about a 200% measured move. And if you end up breaking this structure, well, this looks like a descending triangle. Descending triangles break out about 60-something% of the time, or 50-something% of the time. But down here, it's pretty clear that we're going to break to the upside. And that's about a 623% measured move once you do break the structure. All right, so that's another major we're looking at. If you want a meme coin, because Avalanche is going to run, I was looking at this meme coin called No Chill. This is, not financial advice. And, obviously these meme coins can be extremely volatile. You want to do your own research and your own homework. But I've been looking at this chart. It looks really interesting to me. If we look at the 3-day time scale again, putting in that bullish divergence down here on the RSI, sitting around 34 on the RSI. You got your stochastics crossing back up. This is telling you a momentum shift. It's still in a major uptrend. You had a big drawdown here. And this looks like a falling wedge pattern as well. Your top of the wedge is about a 1,280% measured move. Now, last impulse that AVAX did from 10 to 50, this asset did a 40,915% move. That is a 400x, guys. All right. That is nothing to sneeze at. So if AVAX ends up legging here from $25 to $100, well, it's really possible this thing could do a 1 to 200x. It's only a $4 million market cap. All right. Listen, man, past results are not indicative of the future. However, when you do have a structure like this that's built up and you have some data on it, well, you guys can, strategize your take profits, and you can also really manage your risk pretty easily here on an entry. You set a stop below this wick low and just let it fly. I mean, I think I'm going to be maybe taking a position on this myself. All right. If you guys enjoyed this content, make sure you guys smash the like button up, hit the subscribe button if you guys are new to the channel, and tick the notification bell. And we'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful week.